What? Are you doing season 2 of that stupid show?
Honey, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports. It's your boy, Hanger, looking for a beer. Actually, we're all looking for a beer, so if you want to buy the guys a beer, at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports on Venmo. That's it. Easy as drinking a beer. This is your boy Hanger with the Week 4 weekly wrap-up for college football Week 4. And be ready, because I haven't even drank some coffee yet, and I'm doing this show for you. So hang on tight. I'll try to be as clear as possible in my exhausted state, because that was a insane day of football that we had this week. I mean, Week 4 turned out to show a lot of teams that are going to be having some challenges going forward. So let's start from the top. We'll start number 25 and work our way down to number 1. Number 25, Kansas State got dominated by Oklahoma State with a final score of 31-20. The 4-0 Oklahoma State Cowboys take on Baylor next week. Number 24, UCLA goes to 3-1 after beating a respectable Stanford team, 35-24. UCLA plays Arizona State next week, which will be an uphill battle for them to pull out a victory. Number 23, Auburn, after losing to Penn State last week, struggled for the first half against Georgia State. Yes, you heard it right, Georgia State, with a 24-12 score at the half. I was absolutely perplexed on what was going on with Auburn's team. They ended up putting TJ Finley in to replace Bo Nix by the second half, and they started to come back a little bit. They got within 5 points. I believe the score was 24-18 with 2 minutes left. TJ Finley faced 99 yards with about 2 minutes left between him and victory if they could just score, and certainly they did. They ended up putting up the 6 points with a touchdown, 2 points with a 2-point conversion, and ended up having a score of 27-24 with just a few seconds left. They ended up actually getting an interception as well and a pick six, and ended up winning the game 34-24. I'm telling you the truth, guys. Auburn has magic on their side or something, because that is just insane how that game turned out. But yes, that was against Georgia State, and that should not have happened. Number 22, Fresno State beats UNLV on Friday night in a 38-30 victory. Number 21, University of North Carolina, had a lot of talk about them in the preseason. I mean, even I was calling them for them to win the ACC, but they fell to 2-2 after losing to Georgia Tech 45-22. Yeah, Georgia Tech. That's the team that was embarrassed by Northern Illinois in their season opener, but they were able to hold Clemson to 14 points last week. Georgia Tech is certainly playing with a chip on their shoulder right now. North Carolina, those Tar Heels, they need to figure things out on the defensive side of the ball sooner. They're going to see more losses in the coming weeks. In an overtime game where Scott Frost's special teams let him down yet again, Nebraska lost to number 20 Michigan State 23-20. This was a great matchup, but the Spartans pulled it off and are going to 4-0 now. And they have a pretty easy schedule for the next 4 weeks until they play Michigan at the end of October. October 30th, be ready for that game, because that is going to be a headbanger for sure. Your number 19 Michigan Wolverines beat Rutgers, who shut them out from scoring in the second half. It was 20-13. Michigan wins. But they're going to have a tough game against Wisconsin next week if they don't figure things out. Michigan has the number 1 rushing offense in college football right now, but was held to just 112 yards on the ground in this game. They are sloppy in the second half, and they are not going to be able to beat Wisconsin next week if they don't pull things together soon. Number 17, Coastal Carolina continues to show just how good Grayson McCall is with a 53-3 win over UMass. Yeah, it was UMass, so they shouldn't be celebrating too much, but Grayson McCall certainly does know how to put some points up. Number 16, Arkansas outscores number 7, Texas A&M, 17-3 in the first half. And in a defensive battle, holds Texas A&M to 7 points in the second half in their 20-10 win over the Aggies. The Aggies' weakness on offensive side of ball was definitely apparent all season, and Arkansas exploited that. Arkansas may be the quiet disruptor in the SEC West. Next week, Arkansas is going to Athens to take on Georgia, and the Aggies host Mississippi State. This Aggies team really does need to get it together. They definitely have some weaknesses, and this is a team that was expected to contend at least for the SEC championship this season. Number 15, BYU beats the University of South Florida in what should have been a much easier victory, 35-27. A 4-0 BYU plays Utah next week. Number 14, Iowa State has been exposed for a team that can't win big games this season, even with a great quarterback in Brock Purdy, who had Heisman talk around him for the last 4 weeks. They lost 31-29 to a Baylor team. But Baylor, they're looking pretty good this season, being 4-0, so we'll see what happens. Baylor may hit the top 25 this week, but Iowa State will certainly fall out. In an extremely low-scoring first half, number 12 Notre Dame shows they are for real in the second half against number 18 Wisconsin. With a 31-point fourth quarter, all those who said they can't close a game may be looking at them differently now. The Irish win 41-13. No one would have gone on a limb to predict that, I don't think. Number 8 Cincinnati does roll in to play Notre Dame next week at home. Brian Kelly better have these guys ready. Wisconsin will face Michigan at home next week as well. Probably the worst thing for Michigan is the Badgers will be looking for blood after this loss. The Tennessee Volunteers looked like they came to Gainesville with a chip on their shoulder during the first half against the number 11 Florida Gators, but fell short during the second half with the Gators defense holding them to 0 points. Emory Jones was 21 for 27 with 209 yards in the air, 2 touchdown passes, and 144 yards rushing. 283 yards on the ground as a team in their 38-14 victory against their first SEC East opponent. Next week, the Gators go on the road to Kentucky. As expected, number 10 Ohio State dominates Akron after even beating the spread of 49 points in their 59-7 victory over Akron. Kyle McCord was 13 for 18 with 319 passing yards and 1 interception. Guys, in the biggest upset of the week, NC State takes out number 9 Clemson in an overtime win that sees the Tigers fall to 2-2. Dabo Swinney has some major challenges on offense, and especially in his QB slot, DJ Uiagalelei, who passed for just 111 yards and had 1 interception. Clemson has almost no rushing offense either, with just 103 yards on the ground. This is a very vulnerable team in a conference where they should have dominated just about every game. I didn't even know Villanova has a football team, to be honest with you, but number 8 Penn State beats Villanova 38-17. Penn State's facing Indiana next week. They have a pretty easy game next week as well, and an Indiana team that is not showing too much dominance right now. And then we have number 5 Iowa Hawkeyes. They got a scare in the first half of their game against Colorado State. Going into the locker room at the half, it was 14-7. But they stepped it up in the third quarter and shut the Rams out for the second half, winning the game 24-14. Iowa better be ready in 2 weeks when they play Penn State, though, in a game that's likely to pit the number 5 team in the country against the number 6 team in the country. Number 4 Oklahoma Sooners took another scare in this week, but held off West Virginia 16-13. The Sooners are in a good position to win the Big 12, but have a few things to work on with Spencer Rattler going 5 for 12 on third down conversions. They need to be able to score when it counts. Field goals are not good enough, and I think they had 4 field goals this game, especially in college playoffs as well. They're not going to be able to just hang their laurels on a field goal when it comes down to it. Oregon, number 3, picks off Arizona 41-19 in a late night finale. Oregon looks solid this season, and there is a lot of talk of them winning out. But they do have to face UCLA in a few weeks and a Stanford team next week who has shown that they could play some games. Number 2, Georgia destroys a truly pathetic Vanderbilt team 62-0. Georgia fans are excited about this conference win, it sounds like to me, but all it did was increase the players' stats because every other SEC team is going to end up beating Vanderbilt as well this season. That's pretty much a fact. And then to close out, the number 1 team, Alabama, easily picks off Southern Miss 63-14. I don't know that I need to expound upon that one, but Alabama definitely is the real deal. I'm honestly not really seeing it, though, that there's a clear number 1 team out there right now. And this is a very interesting season. And if you haven't been paying too much attention, now probably is the time to do it since we're getting into conference play. Let me go in and throw in a few other notable games, since I know we have a lot of fans of Appalachian State as well. They played Marshall on Thursday night in a pretty exciting game. App State puts up 10 unanswered points in the fourth quarter and ends up winning the game 31-30. So that was definitely an exciting game to watch. LSU gets past Mississippi State after having a scare in the fourth quarter. They win 28-25 as the fan base calls for firing of Coach O. Man, their memory is really short. It only goes back about 2 years when they won the national championship. LSU is facing Auburn at home next week. And then the Texas Longhorns still feel they have something to prove after losing to Arkansas a few weeks ago and doubled the Red Raiders of Texas A&M's score with a score of 70-35. We'll see how they are in 2 weeks against Oklahoma, but Texas definitely is playing like they want to have a chance at this point, and we'll see. They definitely looked solid this weekend. And then finally, the Carolina Gamecocks lose to Kentucky last night. That was just a poor showing for Carolina, and Kentucky came in there to, they didn't look all that good either, but they did pull off that victory against South Carolina. I just want to thank everybody for listening to this show. I'll also have a wrap-up of NFL football coming out on Tuesday morning, so go ahead and subscribe to the show and you could listen. I thank all those that continue to listen to the show, all those that are members of the Facebook group. You guys really do make my life more exciting for some reason when it comes down to college football through that Facebook group, so I appreciate that. I know the other guys do appreciate that as well. There's good camaraderie in there. We have a lot of guys and gals in there that just love college football and love sports altogether. So if you want to join that Facebook group, you can as well. But yeah, once again, thanks for listening to the show, and we'll go ahead and keep producing the best content that we can in order to make it so you guys enjoy listening. But if you want to invite friends to the Facebook group, you can do that as well. So if you join it and you want to invite some friends that you like, we do keep it clean in there. And that's definitely one of the things that I like about that group as well. But keep on coming back, and we'll shoot a show out to you on Tuesday for NFL recap, and then that Thursday show that we do live at MJ's Bar and Grill. I know what you're thinking. Man, that was an amazing show. You know what you do then? You subscribe to the show. By subscribing, you'll be able to hear the show next week and every show that we come out with from here on out. And then if you really like the show, the thing that you can do is you give it a 5-star rating and review. Whatever podcast you listen to, see if you can give it a 5-star rating and review. I know you can do it on Apple iTunes. And then you know what you do? You come on back next week to hear Guys at the Bar talking sports.